Today we are at Big Wheels in Arndale Park, and we're actually installing an Inground flush brake test system for heavy and light vehicles. Please watch the video carefully. It's very simple operation, and we're looking forward to talking to you in the future.
The appropriate sized pit has already been prepared according to the specifications. Everything you need will be delivered: the frames, the cabinet, computer, printer, screen, camera, cabling, electronics, junction boxes, the industrial grout, and various jigs, brackets, straps and hardware pieces needed for the install.
At SafeTstop, a clean environment is a happy environment.
Brad double checks all the dimensions. Obviously it's important that the pits are the correct size and squarely aligned and parallel to each other. Brad is using this tool to check the bed depth to figure out how much of the Durabed industrial grout he's going to need. There should be a little bit of space around each frame and some space underneath it too, to ensure the frame will sit flush with ground level.
While we did the depth check, we also found where the fall was in each pit, because that will vary, and that lets us know a little bit about where the Durabed is going to be most needed in the pits. So you'll receive a cabinet like this. Everything needed for the installation, including the electronics, will be inside. Brad's going to find the two main cables, which look like this, ready to run.
There is also a cable conduit that runs between the two pits. In this case though, the conduit between the pits isn't large enough to feed through the cable connectors, and there are some tight angle kinks, so we're not going to use it. Brad's going to cut a new channel between the left and right pits. It's also important to have clearance so the cables can enter the frame without any obstruction, so we'll just relieve these corners a bit. We can always tidy it up with grout later on. These frames are heavy, so you should use a forklift to move them. Here the boys have a special jig frame and a winch to make life easy. Now we're replacing the bolts that were removed to fit the jig frame.
In case you're wondering, they pack a few extra screws, just in case.
So Dave is just finishing off putting the cabinet together, and as you can see, if possible, it's always best to work at waist height, not bending down. So Brad's completed the concrete cut. We're just prepping the next bit. We've got slings ready now to put into the first tub, to pick that tub up and position it in place to go into the first pit.
So what we're going to do now is remove the corner bolts and attach the lifting device.
It's way too tiring to mix 20 kilos of grout by hand, so let electricity be your friend.
This batch of Durabed that we've mixed up is a bit runnier than normal, as this side of the pit is very shallow and it doesn't need a lot. So if it requires more, then we'll make it a little bit thicker.
This looks about the right consistency.
How do you know what's the right consistency?
Many years of experience.
Okay.
These lifting brackets, the straps and the eyelets are all included. Perfect job. They work the Durabed around until it sits nice and flush and perfectly level.
Yeah. That's right.
Meanwhile, Dave Orr is setting the cabinet in position and will run all the cables through. Much easier to get all the cabling in place before installing the printer, the computer and the stationery. More mud for the second pit.
But this one's thicker.
Best to do them one at a time so you don't have to worry about the grout going off too soon.
It's important that the plates are actually using the spirit level and nice and level, even if the concrete surround isn't.
Yes, as level as possible is what we're looking for. That'll achieve best results for the test.
Very important that the two sections are parallel and aligned. Remember, they are measuring the slightest variation in wheel alignment and drag, so they must be parallel. There should be plenty of time before the Durabond hardens, so take your time to get this spot on. Once they're firmly in place and not moving, the brackets come off. Now remove the 4 bolts on the weighbridge section and lift the plate to access the electronics. Similarly, remove the bolts to get access to the alignment and brake tester section. The lifting handles are provided. Also remove the one large bolt in the middle of the plate. And off she comes. Here a little bit more relieving is needed. Now the cables are routed to the load sensor junction boxes.
Yeah. You don't want to run it down the side because of this.
Oh yeah.
That could end up right.
You don't have to keep track of which is left and right at this stage. We can easily figure that out when they're connected to the black box at the computer end and swapped over if necessary. Nice and finger tight for the output terminals, and double check all the connectors are snug. When maintaining the unit later, it's not hard to get access to this area. Check the passageway for the cables to be clear of any grout. All that spare grout has a purpose. Make the job super neat and tidy.
Here we're going to mount the wall mount to mount the monitor. So it's going to figure out where we're going to want it.
How convenient, a tiny little spirit level comes with the monitor mount kit. You should never need to get access to these two cables again, so silicone in place. Left and right sensor cables ready to go to the black box. Don't know why they call it a black box, looks more beige to me. The lifting handles are supplied. Access to the pits is easy just by removing these 4 bolts. It's important to do regular maintenance to keep it clean in there, or if you have a flood, for example. The Durabond does a great job locking the frames in place, but just to be sure, 4 dyno bolts each to keep them firmly in the ground. Regardless of the size of the truck you put over them, they're not moving now. Okay, that's the hard part done. The rest of the install is basic computer assembly stuff. It's a good idea to route all the cables into the cabinet first before installing the computer, the black box and the printer. There will be batteries for the mouse, the TV remote and the hands-free keyboard. In this installation the camera is quite a long way from the SafeTstop plates, but this is no problem. There are lots of setup options to ensure it has a good view of the vehicle being tested. So more silicone and grout to tidy up the site. As Tim said, a clean environment is a happy environment.
Just really nothing else to explain here. And here is click on F1, the brake test is ready.
And so we check the left and right connections and swap them at the beige box if necessary.
God, you're a fatty.
I think the machine's wrong.
You're probably 70 kilos.
Yeah, I think so.
No, the machine is not wrong. He does weigh that much. The weight scales are remarkably sensitive, considering they can manage up to 8 tonnes each in 5 kilogram increments. There's a lot more basic setup to be done later, adding the inspection station number, the examiner numbers and so on, but for now, job done. Everything connected and working. Please watch the training video to know more about how to use the machine.